Welcome guys, let's talk about the Austrian Grand Prix. It was a slow burner, that race actually, wasn't it? Didn't get off to the all exciting start, not much happened at the beginning. There was a good start from Kevin Magnussen, he made up 2 places right at the start, got into the P10 and that bode well for the rest of the race for him. And Pierre Gasly also a good start, made up 2 places. Lewis Hamilton passed Carlos Sainz, but was judged to have potentially done that on off track. When you look back, I think that was harsh, that he would have got a penalty had he not given back the position to Carlos Sainz, because he then, before he did that, was in a battle with George Russell and potentially up into 3rd, and then, yeah, he could have been on that top step of the podium had that worked the other way around. Russell kept that position. Hamilton then had to give the position back to Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz and Hamilton was in a little bit of a battle early on. And then we didn't get much of a racing at all, were we? It was pretty steady up front. Max Verstappen had it really under control. He got away and he was building momentum. He was comfortably 6-7 seconds ahead by the time the first pit stops came around, and sort of kept that distance, didn't he? All the way up to the crucial second stop, which we'll get to. In before that, the Hulkenberg and Magnussen had a great battle between sort of lap 12 and 17, didn't they? The 2 Hasses absolutely going at it. Kevin Magnussen got the pass on Nico Hulkenberg early. Hulkenberg then repassed, and then both of them just told, look, manage your race from here, you're on for some decent points. And Magnussen just turned around and said, nah, forget that. I'm going to go in for the battle, and this is crucial. We then got a couple of penalties from there on, didn't we, where the race just sort of dulled down, let's be honest. Alonso hit Zhou Guanyu, he got a penalty for that, and I think that was from there. I think Alonso must have had some real damage because he had an absolute horrible struggle of a race from there. Lewis Hamilton got a 5-second penalty for going over the white line on pit entry. We've seen the same for Alex Albon later on, and then we also got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane from Sergio Perez. Ocon and Gasly then brought the entertainment lap 36, where it livened up a little bit. The 2 Alpines really going at it. Gasly eventually got past Ocon. It was a good battle between the pair of them, to be honest. And then from there on, Ocon dropped off, didn't it? Because it looked like it would be a good double points finish for the Alpine guys. It wasn't to be in the end. And then we got the craziness. Lap 52, both Max Verstappen and Lando Norris pit on the same lap. I thought McLaren missed a trick there by potentially not pitting Lando Norris early a lap because the undercut was strong. But yeah, I guess they knew best, especially considering Norris would have had fresher, he had brand new mediums at the end, whereas Max Verstappen had worn or probably 1 lap run mediums compared to Norris, and I thought that would have potentially given him that gap. And as it turned out, it could have potentially given him the lead had they done that, really, isn't it? Because Max Verstappen came in and an unusually slow stop. He lost 3 seconds to Lando Norris, and then as he came out on that lap, he ran wide down into turn 6, wasn't it? Which was uncharacteristic from Max Verstappen. And then we got the almighty scrap, didn't we, between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. And I think it was just good racing, let's be honest. I think one side might say, if you're a Verstappen, say, oh, it was too crazy from Norris, and if you're a Norris fan, you'll be like, oh, it was too hard defending from Max Verstappen. When you look back, I think Max, you know he's going to defend like that. He's done that all throughout his career. He did it with Lewis Hamilton, and it was a bit of a throwback to some of the defensive side of Verstappen that we've seen with Lewis. Now he's no longer the Max Verstappen 2.0, is it, that we'd seen, because he had a car that was so much faster than everyone else. If someone overtook him, he knew that eventually he'll come good. But now he knows it's absolutely crucial. If he falls behind, he's not going to always get that chance now to repass. And so I think that's why he's defending very differently to what we saw last year, isn't it? Where if someone went past, he sort of said, I'll get you later, don't worry about that. He was more calm, but now he knows he's in a real battle with Lando Norris in that McLaren, because them two on race pace are very, very even. The McLaren doing better than the Red Bulls on tyre management, it's quite clear that. And it's always why we see towards the end of the race, them two becoming very close in really good tight battles. Max Verstappen, I think, got it wrong slightly on this one. He obviously just didn't give Norris the space when they came in contact on lap 64. I think Max probably will he's never going to hold his hand up, let's be honest. That's Max Verstappen for you, isn't it? But I think it was his fault. He got a 10-second penalty for it. Probably because of Lando Norris going out. Had they both survived, I'm not sure where they would have given him a penalty there. But Norris had nowhere to go. He got squeezed. It was either he goes way off track and to avoid Verstappen. And Verstappen effectively made two moves. He gave himself the inside line and then moved back in to sort of take the corner better. Yeah, it's hard to judge. It was so close and tight racing. We don't see Max Verstappen really make these mistakes, if you can really call it that. It probably was a mistake on this occasion because he didn't give enough space to Norris. They both touched, and ultimately Max Verstappen still won out, didn't he? His closest rival, really, Norris at the moment, second in the championship. He's picked up 10 more points than him in the end, so the overall real winner here is Max. So he's kind of not had nothing to lose. Yes, he got a 10-second penalty. It affected him nothing at all, did it, in the end? Norris, the big loser here, because a win was on for him. So you feel really, really sorry for him there. George Russell took the lead, and Oscar Piastri, brilliant move around the outside of Carlos Sainz. I think he pulled off some of the moves of the race, didn't he? The overtake on the outside of Sergio Perez early on was absolutely brilliant as well. But he did again on the outside of Carlos Sainz, and then was on the charge to take down George Russell. Russell did a good job in the end, controlled it to the finish, and I think Oscar Piastri will be kicking himself because really it was his in the bag, wouldn't it? Because of that track limit infringement in qualifying, it's really kicked him in the teeth doubly hard, hasn't it? It was a win definitely in his cards had he kept that third place, and you know, obviously them two taking themselves out in front of each other as they did. Yeah, he must be really disappointed after that. It's just got even more for McLaren, hasn't it, because of that. But congratulations to George Russell. He did an absolutely fantastic job. And let's get to the 3 good and the 3 bad. And I'm starting with the George Russell win because he just made sure he was there, wasn't he? It was a really good qualifying race. He read the race well. He put himself in that position with the qualifying to take advantage of this. He even said yesterday that he'll let them two go and he'll pick up the pieces, and boy did he do that really well in the end. I suppose he was comfortable in third. He was, you know, well ahead of Sainz behind him, and yeah, he got the win, and deservedly so. Probably not, but he didn't have the fastest car. He wouldn't have won it at merit. I think Norris had the best car again, and I think he probably would have gone on to win it eventually, Norris. There was enough time in the race there for him to make that move eventually on Max Verstappen, so I think he might be kicking himself a little bit. But yeah, congratulations George Russell, a brilliant win, and I think that's one of the 3 good. He's just been really consistent and fast and comfortably in that place to beat Piastri in qualifying, thanks to the track limits, but he was there, wasn't he? He was that man that just made sure he did his job to the best, and he obviously got his reward at the end. Second of the 3 good, I'm going to Nico Hulkenberg. A P6 in that car was absolutely tremendous. He put himself in a fantastic 9th position in qualifying, and in for the race he just did so well. He held off Sergio Perez brilliantly in the end. I mean, Perez was on the medium tyres, Hulkenberg on hards, which were sort of 12 laps older than Perez's mediums, and to hold back a much faster car to finish ahead of him was an absolutely tremendous job. A P6 for Haas, double points finish for them over the weekend was a brilliant job. And then third of the 3 good, I'm going for Daniel Ricciardo, a P9 finish. An excellent job. The qualifying position, like I said yesterday, he put himself into position from 11th to potentially fight for some points, and he was always there or thereabouts, wasn't he? He was sticking in that 10th place, and then to get the extra one because of Norris's DNF, he'll be very happy with his weekend. He was much faster than Yuki Sonoda, and the last couple of races he's done the job, hasn't he? So he can need that momentum now until the end of the season, because he said he wants to be able to say that he deserves that seat in that Racing Bull outfit, and so far is he potentially doing that? It's hard to say, but he needs more of this, and then he can definitely say he deserves that seat. I know there's rumours now, because they're saying that Racing Bull, really, that's the junior team, and they want to build their young talent. Liam Lawson is waiting in the background, so it's going to be pressure on. Like, they've given the other seat to Yuki now, and it's Daniel Ricciardo. If he can pull off a couple of more results like this, well, he's going to make it a real tough decision for them at the top to take him out of that seat, isn't he? Let's get to the 3 bad, and I'm going to start with Fernando Alonso. It's been a horrible weekend for him, hasn't it? He was out-qualified in the sprint qualifying and beaten by Stroll. In qualifying yesterday, they weren't setting the track alight, were they, Aston Martin? It's been a horrible weekend. And in the race, I'm sure he must have got damaged, but it doesn't explain things, because lap 70, just 1 lap to the end, he pulls off the fastest lap of the race. So there wasn't too much wrong with that car, but to finish way down, I'm not really sure what's happened. It doesn't quite make sense to me. If there was real issues with that car, I'm not sure he would have had something in him to put off the fastest lap in the end like he did. So yeah, horrible weekend. And he's had a couple of these now, hasn't he? He seems to have lost his way a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on. We're not seeing the usual spritey Fernando Alonso, and he needs a bit of a bit more fire in himself that we've not seen, have we? But he'll hope for better next time out at Aston Martin's home race. The second of the 3 bad, I'm going for Sergio Perez. He was just so slow at one point. I mean, it wasn't far into the race. He was already like 40-45 seconds behind Max Verstappen. He was lapping sort of nearly a second and a half lap slower than the guys around him in certain parts of it. Not really sure what's gone on. He's in the same car that was fighting for the win on pole position. So, yeah, and he just couldn't pass Hulkenberg with tyres that are better in compound, fresher than the guy in front who was on old hards, and to not make that pass just really, I think, tops it for me. It was another real bad weekend for Sergio Perez. Yeah, just piling more pressure on himself. And the third of the 3 bad, I'm going for Yuki Sonoda, because he's had a scruffy weekend. He's been beaten by his teammate Ricciardo. He's the better of him all weekend, didn't he? And he's dropped off since he signed this new deal with Racing Bulls, hasn't he? Which is probably the most disappointing thing on this side of things, because you'd expected them to kick on. He knows he's got that seat now, and to then really show that he deserves it and build on the performances that he's had on the early parts of the season. So he really needs to go to Silverstone next up and really put this to rest and kick on from there. Is going down the sort of Sergio Perez route, isn't it? The pair of them both signed contracts, and since then not had great races at all. So yeah, overall disappointing from here. And the final thoughts, really, it was a race for Lando Norris to win, wasn't it? And was he... I can understand the build-up of it, and was he a bit naive, or should he just waited, because he clearly had the faster car. Max Verstappen was on older tyres, and so would that pass eventually have come? They were both fighting tooth and nail, and when you've got the helmet on, you know, you don't always look at these things right. Yes, the contact wasn't his mistake at all. Max Verstappen turned into him, and it's really cost the pair of them, more so Lando Norris than Max Verstappen. So I'd be disappointed, and it's really putting their friendship into the middle of it, isn't it now? Testing that relationship that they have. You know, all along, even after the race, sort of Norris said, look, if he turns around, and depends what he says, how he'll feel about their friendship after this race. If he sort of puts his hands up and say, yeah, it's probably my mistake, I've probably overstepped the mark a little bit, we can move on from there. But should he just say, oh, it's all Lando's fault, he'll lose a lot of respect for him, which is very interesting, because the pair of them looked really, really tight, didn't they? And Max Verstappen does this. He's very ruthless when it comes to his racing. He looks like a brilliant personality off track, let's be honest. And the stuff he's been coming out with in interviews, I've started to really warm to Max Verstappen. This side of Max, I kind of still quite love it. This is all what brilliant world champions have done. Lewis Hamilton, when he first came into the team, was equally as ruthless and changed the game in terms of overtaking and defending. Max Verstappen just took that to another level, but he had to do that. We've seen all champions drive like this, and so he's always going to have that bit of edge in him to go probably just that little bit more than anyone else is willing to do. It's what makes them the champions that they are. Lando Norris is learning the hard way. He was obviously kicking himself of what he did in the sprint race, which again he should have won. He left the door open for Max, and I think he was extra determined, but it was good racing. I think it's not Norris's fault. There's no doubt about that. I don't think, you know, you can blame him for the incident. It was a bit of a build-up before that. He was too overzealous at certain points where he outbraked himself. He eventually got it right, and Max held on around the outside, didn't give that position back. And I think the whole problem here really is the stewards were so slow in their decisions, weren't they? I think that was clear. Lando Norris had the track limits infringement, another one, black and white 5 where we meant he got a 5-second penalty. He went off track once he passed Max Verstappen, and they took a good few laps before they came to the decision of a 5-second penalty. Well, they've already made the collision by then. So had that come earlier, I think Max Verstappen's demeanour would have changed. He might have just, you know, not needed to defend so hard, because he just would have had to stick behind Norris, who would have then had to make a 5-second gap to take the win. And so potentially had that come earlier, they might have avoided the collision. Also, the decision on Verstappen keeping the place and not giving it back to Norris, should that have come sooner than it did? Well, it didn't come at all, did it, in the end? The collision happened, you know, there was no need to sort of adjudicate on that in the end. DNF for Norris got them off the hook a little bit, the stewards, on that side of things. Max Verstappen got a 10-second penalty, which doesn't mean anything because he was comfortably ahead of the guy in 6th place. He'd finished home 5th, and he was hunting down Lewis Hamilton in the end, wasn't he? And even if he passed him, I think Lewis was comfortable for that position. But yeah, interesting that I think that was another thing that sort of really needed to sort itself out. And the track limits was much better than we've seen last time out, but they still had it where we were calling track limits where, you know, the guys were losing time if you're going into a gravel. So did they need to police it as badly as they did? I'm not so sure, but overall it came to life, didn't it? It was a dull race from sort of what the couple of highlights like I pointed out for the two Hasses battling, the two Alpines battling, but there was nothing after that, wasn't it? But it absolutely came to light. Lap 52 to the end was absolutely fascinating, a brilliant sort of last, what, 14, 12, 13 laps before the incident. We got cracking racing, well done to George Russell, and a win for Mercedes finally. It's come out of the blue. He'll be very, very happy with that. And we go to Silverstone next, which we get absolutely fantastic racing, and the pair of them, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, the McLarens went really well there last year, so I'm already excited for Silverstone. It should be an absolute cracker. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. Let me know your thoughts on the Verstappen and Norris incident. I would love to read what you've got to say or criticise what I've said about that, but yeah, love to hear it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. See you next time.